before we get started, is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about? Right, I mean, that's the question I ask, no matter whether I'm talking to agents in training, or if I'm on the phone, or talking to a client to start the fact find. That's how I start it all the time. You know, do you have any questions or anything you want to talk about? All right. Now, what happens most of the time is the client's going to come back, well, I thought you were here to talk about mortgage insurance, or I thought you were here to talk about health insurance, or homeowners or auto, whatever it is that you talk to them on the phone, you know, about retirement or refinancing the home. Yep, that's what I came to talk about. All right, but let me explain how I work first. First of all, you can put your checkbook away, because I'm not going to ask you to buy anything today. Is that okay? What I'd like to do is find out as much information as I can about you and your situation, so I can tailor a program to meet your exact needs. Does that make sense? Right? Now, think about what I just said, even for you ladies, you know, for the sales, right? I know, but do it with the agents, you know, and so that you can find out what they want and get them to, you know, talk about it. Yeah, so you can really tailor what, you know, what you're going to recommend to them. See, in any sales situation, that's what you should be doing, in my estimation anyway. Right? So it doesn't really matter what you're there for or how you set the appointment, does it?
It's like a brand new day.
Yeah. So you just want to get into the fact finding. Now, what's the purpose of fact finding?
Uncover needs, 100%. Or pain.
Yeah. All right, I say problems. Okay, but needs, pain, problems, they're all the same. But if they don't have a problem, is there any reason why they should be talking to you? Or is there any reason why they should buy something from you? So you've got to help them see what their problems are. Now, if you tell them what their problems are, what's going to happen?
They might disagree with you.
Yeah. So what you got to do is ask them the right questions so they identify the problems themselves. See, I look at a fact find is gathering the facts, but also getting people to sell themselves on taking action. And so the more you can help them see what their problems are and identify their own problems, the quicker action they're going to take, aren't they?
Do you, I guess we'll get into this, but when you identify a problem, do you vanish?
Yeah,
Reverse it?
yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk about that, yeah. But it's all about the question, well, how do you feel about that? What would you like to see happen? So it's that who, what, where, when, how, and why questions. Okay. So yeah, the more you can talk about that problem and how we're going to solve it, ideas, and that's when those 5-minute presentations, simple sales presentations come in, so they buy into the concept and understand why they need to do something. Okay? So we got, what's the purpose of a fact find, right? I think we've covered that. Why agents have trouble with fact finds. Why do they have trouble with fact finds?
You're not prepared. That's the right question.
Yeah. And if you're not prepared, what happens?
You spin your wheels in PS and waste everyone's time.
Yeah. But if you're not prepared, you don't have the confidence, right? And that's mainly the problem, or reason why agents have problems with fact finding. They just don't have any confidence. They're afraid the client's going to say what?
They don't need your services.
Afraid of getting rejected.
Excuse me?
Afraid of getting rejected?
Well, yeah, but you're afraid of that the client will say, why do you need to know that? And they don't know what to come back to that, do they? You know, so they're afraid, to ask the personal questions. Because they're afraid that people are gonna say, no, you don't need to know that, I'm not gonna tell you that.
How do you respond to that if they say that?
How would you respond?
Go back to what you said to begin with, the more you know about their specific situation, the better you can help them.
Yeah. So you might want to tell them a story. You know, if you went to a doctor with a headache, and he just said, take 2 aspirins and call me in the morning, and he didn't ask you questions about how long you had the headache, when did it start, how bad is it, what would you think of that doctor?
I think it was average.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if I don't find out, about your situation, how can I recommend the best product for you? I don't want to be sued. Does that make sense? I mean, it's really that simple. There are, another way to answer it is there are hundreds of different insurance products out there. I don't know which one's best for you unless I know what your situation is.
You ever run into a situation where you've spoken with, say, the one spouse, they've set the appointment, and you come out there and the other spouse is like, I don't even know why you're here, what are you here for? I don't know what you're out there. That sort of,
Yeah. Okay. Well, what would you like to talk about?
good question.
Yeah. Put it back on them. Have you had any concerns about your finances? What would you like to see happen? How you doing for setting up for your retirement or children's education or whatever? Okay. Well, they might say, I just want the insurance, the cheapest insurance I can get. You ever get that?
Yeah.
Okay. You want the cheapest, short term or long term?
What's it in?
That's what we're gonna talk about. Okay. I want the cheapest short term, okay? Well, unless I know your situation and your health and everything else, I can't determine that. Because there are companies that quote, real cheap insurance, but nobody can qualify for it. Okay, so, without knowing your situation and how long you're gonna need it and everything else, there's no way I can determine that. So I need to ask some questions. What other objections might you get?
To the fact finding,
Yeah. There really isn't any others that I could think of. All right.
so it's a trick question.
Yeah, it was. But what's amazing is, if you do it the way I do it, I think I've had only 1 or 2 objections to the fact find in 25 years. Right? I mean, it's that simple. And if you talk to Tony, he'll tell you. I don't know if any of you have read the article that he wrote. But he's been working with us for 4 years now, and he said he finally got it this past November, and realized that if he does exactly what I'm saying, and he started doing that, and he did what, 65,000 in commission in November and December. It's not too bad a job. And, but he just went back to doing his mortgage leads. And when he got out there, he just starts the fact finding just the way I said. And he says, nobody objects. It was all me. It was in my head that I thought they would object.
It's a fear of an objection that,
Yeah,
I mean, what's the worst that could happen is they say, we're not interested, leave.
yeah,
I mean, that's the worst thing that could happen, right?
yeah,
And the fact of the matter is, if they really say that, they weren't the right kind of person anyway. You need a person who will engage like this.
yeah. Yeah, and I've had one that did object, I ended up just saying, I can't help you. And an agent had brought that person in. And I said, yeah, if you're not willing to tell me, go through it, your situation with me, then I can't help you. What do you mean you can't help me? I can't. I'm not gonna put myself in that position where I can be sued or whatever for giving you the wrong advice. If you won't open up and we can't talk as a professional, then make it a nice day. And he got up and stormed down the office. But,
Did he sue you for not talking to me?
all right, needs versus wants. What's more important?
Needs.
Yeah, wants.
Wants or
Yeah,
People buying things, want,
yeah.
now they,
Do you know you need to lose weight?
thanks.
You're the only one in this room who needs to.
Yeah, the only one. We all know that we need to lose weight or stop smoking or whatever it is, but do we do it?
Sometimes.
No, we don't do it till we want to do it. Something changes in our life that makes us want to do it. Like the doctor says, if you don't lose some weight, you're gonna die. And that's it. And so the wants, you have to get people to want to do something about it. We all know that we need to save for retirement, or we need to protect our family, but, till we actually want to do it, we're not gonna take action. So the want is the most important thing. And that is, most agents, what do?
tell them what they need,
Yeah,
tell them what they want.
yeah, they just tell them or get them to say they need something, but don't help them want it. Now, need is what? Logical, isn't it? Want is what?
Emotion.
I was gonna say illogical, but I said,
It is illogical, but, and it is, think about it.
I really have to share this with you. My wife, who has for the last 2 years done the books of the family, is trying to push it back onto me. So I said, well, the process, we have all these things that all my kids' needs, the house needs. And I said, well, we have to sit down and we have to go through it and decide what the priorities are, very logical. And I decided to get my bicycle fixed last week. I brought it to and I said, I'm going to spend about $150 on this. I brought it to the bicycle shop and had already, by the time I walked out of there, committed in my own mind to spending about $600. And I hadn't, until you said this, I hadn't really put it together, the look on my wife's face when I came back and said that. And what was it all about? It was about, I wanted the bicycle, but I needed the whole list of things. And what did I commit to spend on? I committed to spend on what I want.
Yeah.
I never saw this so clearly.
that reminds me of, my son got a bicycle for his birthday and didn't have a kickstand. So I went over to this bicycle shop to have a $7 kickstand installed, and ended up spending $490 on a new bike for myself. Helmets.
Yeah,
Well, why does your son want a bike? Well, so we can ride together. Well, do you have a bike? No. How are you gonna ride with it?
with salesman, he asked the right question. Think about it. But how many salesmen do that?
Very small percentage.
Yeah. And that's why most agents and salespeople struggle in sales. Because they just focus on the needs, and the minute they find a need, what do?
Fill it.
They try to jump in and fill it and and offer a solution right then and there, without talking about a priority and getting emotionally involved in determining the need and stuff.
That case that I just told you about, my opening question, of course, again, this guy's a client. I had the kids' dates of birth, so I ran the numbers ahead of time, knew where I were, or knew where I was with it, but I asked him the question. If I could show you how the kids could have a solid tax-free retirement income of around $400,000, and it would cost you less than $500 a month, is that something you'd like to see?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? You know, I mean, you already knew about the client and stuff, so it made it a little easier.
If exactly, existing clients, sure.
Yeah.
But it's a question you could ask anybody and then eventually tailor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would change that question to, would you want your children to have a retirement income after you're long gone?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways. So how do you feel about, you know, your retirement, and you've, you know, done very well because in his situation, all right? How would you like to establish that for your children? Or put them on the right road for that?
Yeah, if they weren't already a client, that's the way I would ask it,
Yeah,
you know.
okay. All right, what we're basically talking about is what? Transitioning from a salesperson to an advisor. You know, and that's what every salesperson needs to do, is become their advisor, help them figure out what it is that they really need, what they want, and help to show them that you have the solution, or help them come up with the solution. See, if you can go from, a salesperson is an adversary relationship, isn't it? Really? An advisor is not.
So you got needs, you got wants, what do you do with the like to haves?
Excuse me?
What do you do with the like to haves?
Okay, well, then, you talk about them. And, you know, if they'd like to have that, you know, can that be added in, or, and give them another reason to want to do something about the other stuff? How does it fit in? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. And it all starts with emotional-based questions, which is what we're going to talk about. And basically, all you're doing is helping the prospect to sell themselves. Because if you tell them, will they believe it?
They may, but they may doubt it too.
Yep. But if they tell themselves, are they going to believe it? So if you can ask the right questions so they tell themselves that's what they need to do. So they come to that realization. Now it's an automatic sale. And that's how, you know, you close 9 out of 10 of the people you talk to. When you get them to tell themselves, yeah, I need to do something about that. Yep, I've got to find the money. Okay, let me show you how you can do that. Okay? Alright, go on to the next one. Okay. One of the ways you do that is when you go into the fact finding, is you do 5-minute presentations, and we're going to go through a bunch of them, so to drive the point home. And we'll go into that. And you can do that for the farm money management concepts, you can do it for selling annuities, selling systems, whatever it is that you're selling. If you have a 5-minute presentation, it shows them the value of it so they can buy into that concept. And the trick with a 5-minute presentation is to really put it into terminology that they understand. Because if you try to put it in, you know, most agents talk in their terminology, right? About products and everything else, and tax deferral, and how to get tax-free income or whatever. all right? And they don't talk in, put it into, or equate it to something that everybody understands. So that's what the magic of the 5-minute presentations. And then we're gonna talk about how to secure or transition and secure the appointment for the closing interview, which is really simple. It's just reviewing what you've talked about, so if they want to do the next. Okay.
Do you find it's important to do the fact finding and come back a second day? Or do you find that, I would assume that after you get this information and with enough experience, that you probably have the answer on the spot, what you wanted to sell them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily true, but.
Yeah, in some cases you would, in some places they're gonna say, well, I'm not gonna do that today. Don't do it.
Say I wouldn't do it, then you're coming up, you replace yourself right back as a salesperson, because all of a sudden you've got an answer right off the bat, but you just got done telling them you need all this so you can study their
Yeah.
situation. Well, if you got an answer right then and there, you didn't really study their situation.
Yeah.
Well, that is totally different than how I've done just about every presentations, appointment,
Yep.
for 30 years or 20 years.
Yeah. And it is a transition,
From
and,
the one call close kind of sales approach to,
yeah. But it's going from the salesperson to the advisor. So that you're really looking over all their entire situation. Because chances are that you're not gonna get all the, they're not gonna give you all the information or have it all available that night anyway. So if you really go and do a financial plan for somebody, and basically that's what we're talking about, right? Is a real financial plan. There may be more information they get, whatever. Plus, when you sell it on the first night, you always have the problem with what?
Irish rewards.
Yep.
Well, you just told them at the beginning of the interview, if you do it this way, they're not gonna have to write a check.
Yep.
So, I've had people just go, oh, good.
Yeah. Well, you'll be surprised, when you say that. Okay? All right. So let's start the fact finding again. And I'll start with you, Rick, okay? Because I want to really role play this. Rick, I want to thank you for coming to my home, or allowing me to come to your home tonight, or for coming into my office. If I'm in the home, you got a beautiful home here, Is there a kitchen table that we can sit and talk about, talk around, or a table that we can talk uninterrupted, so we don't, drag this out? Whatever, okay? If they're in my office, did you have any problems finding the office or whatever? That's the extent of my small talk, all right? But that's me. I'm not good at small talk. So I don't small talk. I get right down to business, all right? Though I do smile and, and shake the hand, and that's important. Again, look them straight in the eye. I mean, don't stare at them, you know what I'm saying? But look them straight in the eye, and shake their hand and smile, and really want to thank you and be sincere. And that, how many agents are, when they walk into somebody, thank you for allowing me to come in, and don't even look at the person. They're so, whatever, right? So you want to really look at the person, and as you're talking, be looking at them. And, really look in their eyes. How many people have you, or salespeople have you ever talked to that don't even look at you, look you in the eye? How does it make you feel?
Like they're up to something.
Yeah. Okay. You notice as I'm talking, do I look at, each one of you at different times? Yeah, right in the eye, right? It's important. It builds that trust factor. It's a little thing, or it seems to be a little thing, but I'm gonna tell you, it's a big thing. By the way, if they ever, you go to the home and they offer you, would you like something to drink? Always say yes, even if it's just water. All right. All right. So, Before we get started, Rick, is there anything in particular you want to talk about?
Well, I thought you were here to talk about college education.
Yep, certainly am. But if I may, Rick, what I'd like to do is just explain a little bit about how I work, and then we'll get into that.
Okay.
All right, first of all, tonight, you can put your checkbook away, because I'm not gonna ask you to buy anything. Is that okay?
That's good.
All right, what I'd like to do is find out as much information as I can about you and your situation, so I can tailor a program to meet your exact needs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's get started then,
Okay.
all right? And Rick, how do you spell your last name? Okay, all right, and I guess I gotta put my glasses on. And you a smoker or non-smoker?
Just occasional cigar.
Okay, great. And Rick, what's your date of birth?
5/21/56.
Okay, so that makes you how old?
50.
Okay, you're getting to be an old timer like me, aren't you? Okay, hey Rick, have you ever thought about when you want to retire?
Not to a great degree, I guess.
Okay. Well, when would you like to retire?
Well, I'm not sure I ever want to officially retire, but I'd like to be able to slow down if I chose to, maybe around 70 or so.
Okay. All right. Now, is there any particular reason why you're saying that? Have you been putting money away for retirement? Or?
Not officially, no.
Okay. So is that really, a reason why you're looking at semi-retiring and not fully retiring?
Well, that would be part of it, plus I just like to work and I'm not sure what else I would do.
Okay. All right. When you semi-retire, or would you, at age 70 or 65, would you like to have enough money to retire if you wanted to?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, so if you were going to retire at age 65, how much money would you want to have as an income?
Oh, I'd probably like to have at least 8,000 a month or so.
Okay, great. Now, if they say, and most of them will come back and say, well, I never thought about it. Okay? Well, let me put it to you this way. If you were going to retire today, Rick, how much money would you need? So give me a minute.
Right, 6,000 a month.
Okay, $6,000 a month. All right. Now, you're 50 years old, and so we're talking about retiring in what, 15 years?
20 years, yeah.
20 years, okay. So what do you think inflation's going to be over the next 20 years?
I have no idea.
All right, would you agree it's probably going to be someplace around 3, or you feel comfortable around 3 or 4%?
If that's what you think, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so let's say 3%.
Okay.
So 3% over 20 years, so that means 60%, right? And that's not compounded. So that means you're going to at least need 60% more 20 years from you need today, is that right?
Right.
Okay, so 60% or, 60,000, it's 72,000, because you said 6,000 a month, right?
Right.
So that would be what, about 4,200, 42,000?
43,200.
Okay, so what you're talking about is 72 plus 43 is what, 125?
115.
115,
We're gonna keep you on.
okay. So you're gonna need about 115,000,
Wow,
okay?
didn't realize that.
Yeah, most people don't. Let me ask you, Rick, if you had a lump sum of money to invest today, what do you feel that you would get for a comfortable rate of return or a consistent rate of return on that money?
I really don't know.
Okay. Well, would you say 5-6% would be that you'd get on a consistent basis?
I would think a little bit more than that, but certainly no more than 8%.
Okay. So
Unless
let's,
somebody gives you a ridiculous answer, like 23%.
okay. You really think you can do that on a consistent basis? Okay, it's using their numbers though, okay? And if they say, yeah, okay. You know, if somebody really said 23 and wouldn't budge off of that, I say, you know, I think you're being a little unrealistic, okay? You know, if they still persist on that, then they, you know, I'm leaving,
Yeah.
because I'm not even gonna. Well, let's say, you know, the 8%, so in order to, if you want to generate $115,000 of income at 8%, right, how much money would you have to have invested?
Almost $1.5 million.
Okay, so that's what
Are you making the client answer the question?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Or if they, you know, say, well, there you go. Yeah, it's about 1.5 million, isn't it? See, 8% of $1 million would be 80,000, so 8% of 500,000 would be 40,000, so yeah, 120,000. Yeah, so close to 1.5 million. How do you feel about that?
That's an amazing number.
Okay, would you like to be able to get there if you could?
Sure.
Okay. Especially if I could show you how to do it without taking any additional money out of your pocket or changing your lifestyle.
I'd like to see that.
Okay. All ready?
So in his situation where he told you he wanted to talk about college planning, now how would you incorporate?
I'll get to that. Okay, it's the next series of questions. All right, you know, so when we're going through this here, what we will want to talk, you know, figure out is what you can do for retirement and have that money, okay? That make sense?